Yeah, we get the government we deserve.
Okay, the
We
government
can't
we deserve.
excuse people for voting for bad governments.
Okay.
If you vote for bad government, that's what you're going to get. So you deserve it. So I don't have sympathy for African countries that vote bad leaders who are oppressing them and what. Because you got the power during the election. That power that they oppress you with for the 5 years ceases, and yours kicks in. You vote whoever you want, and you'll get whoever you deserve. Simple.
Professor O.J.J. Thabane, welcome to the 20th Avenue podcast, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. You're looking very calm today. You're not looking like that guy that we always see ranting and stuff like that. Yeah. What brings you to Botswana, to University of Botswana?
Well, Jefferson invited me to be a professor here of media studies, and that's really what brings me to Botswana every month. To come and work with a range of people here, from the public affairs to the vice chancellor's office to the media studies, to do a range of projects really that are aimed at empowering the university, lifting the profile of the university, as well as the whole thing I was talking about in the lecture today of telling the African story anew. So those projects are linked to that theme of how do we lift the story of Africa, not just in Botswana but across the whole continent, but using Botswana as a springboard. And that's really what brings me to this university, and I'm happy to be associated with it.
I understand it's a 5-year contract. So after 5 years, what should we expect? Like which foods?
But it's far, man. 5 years. Yeah, all the things I was talking about today will happen within the 5 years.
Within the 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there are simple things. I mean, let's take, for example, in the media studies, we need a PhD of media studies. That can't take 5 years. In fact, it must happen by the end of this year.
Okay.
Because they've been sort of drafting and fiddling with it for a while, and we just need to not just make it happen. It's not even a complex thing. It doesn't even require me to leave my house in Krugersdorp.
Okay.
It's a question of making sure that it's properly put together, taken through the structures, approved by Senate, and it happens. Then the big thing actually for me is not even that there must be a PhD, because it's not like you need to design courses for a PhD. So the PhD doesn't work like that. Because every PhD person has his own topic.
All right.
So for me, the biggest thing is to recruit the students who must be candidates. Right? And the more we waste time on the bureaucracy of, when are we going to have this, how will the more we're losing those students, because they'll go to other universities. Because quality master students are not waiting for University of Botswana, believe me, to do a PhD here, no. So we are the ones who need them, so that we can be able to say in 5 years we produce 10 quality PhDs in the media sector. And by the way, you don't need to have a master's in communications to do a PhD in media, if that's your interest. I don't have a master's in communications. My master's is in political economy. It had nothing to do with communications.
All right.
So to register for that PhD didn't mean I needed to, my honors needed to be a duplicate of, no, or my master's for that matter. My honors was not even about anything communication. That was a law degree somewhere, which is gone into irrelevance now. So that's the first thing that you can expect after the 5 years. There will be a PhD program. There will also be PhD graduates.
All right.
That's the first one. Second one, in terms of just empowering the current students, the idea here is to introduce a lot of practicals. Because part of the problem with our education system, not just here, everywhere else in the continent, is too theoretical. People come here, they study, after 4 years they still don't know much. And when they go into the market, they struggle because they can't link what they've studied with the practicals. However, things we read and study here don't matter in the workplace. Right? People don't understand that when you go through a degree, the biggest thing is to test your resilience and discipline.
All right.
More than the content. The content could be various. That's why people will have various courses, various majors, electives, and what, just a concoction of things. But they need to find their passion. And that's where the practicals come in. So we're going to be doing internship programs, expanding those. We're going to be doing exchange programs where we take students from here to the UK, to the US to learn what's happening in the other parts of the world. Right? And then we're going to strengthen the radio here. The radio is about to go to FM. Tomorrow we're having a workshop where we're workshopping the radio. How will this radio look like? How will it be different when it's FM? From a point of view of programming, of talent management, of those kind of things that make a radio station to matter. So those are just a few examples of what you can expect in the next few years.
In the next few years. All right. Speaking of politics, we all know you through politics and your analysis and your TV shows. It's an election year. Like a number of countries are going for elections this year.
Yeah.
What does this mean to the world? Like you did political, economics and politics, right? Like which direction are we headed as the world? Botswana is going for the elections, South Africa, the USA, India, etc.
No, look, I don't think there's one particular direction the world is going through. Right? For example, the US may go backward, you know, whereas South Africa may go forward. They may say, NC has had enough time, we're going to need a coalition government because we're tired of them. Right? And then the US goes back to Trump, which could be the worst thing. You understand? Because why would you go back to Trump when what has it got to offer really for that is futuristic? So there's not one thing that is happening. It's just a good thing that the world has bought into democracy, and so if you have so many countries going, it's an opportunity to promote that way of governance rather than dictatorships, aristocracies, and so on.
As Africans, would you say that we really know what we're voting for?
Yeah, we get the government we deserve.
Okay, the government we deserve.
Excuse people for voting for bad governments.
Okay.
If you vote for bad government, that's what you're going to get. So you deserve it. So I don't have sympathy for African countries that vote bad leaders who are oppressing them and what. Because you got the power. During the election, that power that they oppress you with for the 5 years ceases and yours kicks in. You vote whoever you want, and you'll get whoever you deserve. Simple.
I'm asking because with countries such as Zimbabwe, it has been one government ruling for the past 40
the
plus
Zimbabweans
years.
deserve it. They deserve it. Why don't they vote them out?
Why don't they vote them out?
After they beat them up, they lock up journalists, they do all sorts of strange things. They are corrupt, you understand? But they still get voted in time and time again. Who votes them in? It's the same people. So we can't sympathize with them anymore.
I think this is where the issue of rigging elections comes through. Apparently, African governments are good at rigging elections because there isn't much surveillance taking place when it comes to elections.
Yeah, that's probably true, but I don't have any evidence necessarily as concrete that I can say that about. All I can tell you is there are a number of countries where the IEC, what's called the Independent Electoral Committee, is not so independent. Cronies of the current government are appointed there, and then they do all sorts of strange things. So it's not far-fetched. But we can't tell that story if we don't have evidence.
You can't tell that story if you don't have evidence.
You must get evidence. I'm sure you can get it easily.
So this evening you're talking about telling the African story anew. So as a former journalist, it's difficult to tell a story in a creative way, in a new way, in an empty stomach, because we're poorly paid.
Yeah, then you must go and find another career if you don't like the career there. That career, to be a journalist, is not a wealthy thing. You understand? There's no journalist who's overpaid. It doesn't work like that. In fact, most of us in the media do many other things. So that the media becomes part of where we express our passion and our truth, rather than where we're looking for money, because that's where capturing of journalism may easily happen. So I sympathize with that. But at the same time not, because like I was saying to you, I talk to journalists across the continent. When you ask, what are you studying now, you find that only a few are improving themselves, they are getting extra qualification, etc. Which means that they'll forever be earning the peanuts they are earning, because nobody is going to hire them, because they don't have the necessary qualifications that can, in a sense, enable them to be diverse. You gotta be diverse as a person. You can't just be in one box. If that box doesn't work, you can't put your eggs in one basket. And journalists have a tendency of putting their eggs in a journalism basket and not think of improving themselves in other areas so that they can merge their journalism with their speciality. That way they can tell a better story of their speciality because they've got this qualification of journalism or background of journalism.
Mm-hmm. So we're already seeing this thing of capturing of the media, especially from the private sector.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen it also in South Africa, whereby like the private sector can easily give you a brown envelope so that you control they control the narrative through you. Like, how can we cap this? Especially
it's about ethics, man. You know, ethics cannot be legislated. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They cannot be legislated. We need to be ethical. In other words, whatever you do in the dark must, when it comes to light, you mustn't be embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
If you go according to that mantra, it don't matter whether you are public, private. Nobody can capture you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Understand?
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. So we're not going to go around doing witch hunt about who's getting brown, because we'll never know. The reason it's a brown envelope so nobody can trace it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cash transaction.
It's a cash transaction.
Because if it was an electronic transaction, if it was above board, it would be electronic, so that people later can see and you must pay tax on it.
Mm-hmm.
So what tax are you paying on a brown envelope? It's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You pay nothing because it's underground.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't think we must have too much of a headache about that. We should simply ensure that we encourage each other as media practitioners to be ethical. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that those ones who are brown envelopes and they are caught become an exception. And we must call them out.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are giving the whole profession a bad name.
All right. You heard him. Lastly, I know you have to go to your hotel room. It's late. So some are asking, they're saying that you speak well, we are well researched and stuff like that, and they're looking for the day when you get into a political office.
No,
when is that?
I'm not interested. I want to make money.
Politicians make money, you know.
Yeah, by stealing it. I want to make money for myself. I have businesses I'm running. You know, I'm going to buy media organizations. I'm going to form media organizations. That's how I'm going to make my money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm going to do projects where I plant back into society across the continent, working with various projects, agricultural projects, development projects. I've just told you now about exchange programs.
Mm-hmm.
There are monies that are lying around the world in foundations, in philanthropic concerns.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? That's what those things will be more impactful than being a minister in the government, restricted by all sorts of silly laws and strictures.
Mm-hmm.
When you could actually be changing people's lives. So I'm not interested in politics. I've already done that, and I have the T-shirt for that.
Which T-shirt? Is it yellow? Is it red? Is it blue?
It was a yellow, very bright yellow Cope T-shirt.
Oh, the Cope one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was part of the starting of Cope from scratch.
From scratch.
So I've done that already. There's nothing exciting about the politics. But remember, with the work I'm doing, I'm in politics. It's just that I don't have to account to any of the politicians or any party.
Mm-hmm.
I can speak my truth. I can engage. I run a platform called Frank Dialogue, where I bring politicians to come and answer or debate. Besides my TV show that is, ahead of the pack in my time slot in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fulfilled with what I'm doing now, and the rest of what's going to happen going forward is a bonus, and I'm not going to spoil it by going to politics. I can advise politicians for a fee. I must pay.
You don't come cheap.
For it. No, I don't. Why should I come cheap? If you want cheap things, go to the cheap people.
All right, lastly, like the last one.
Yeah.
You spoke about starting an African news network in Botswana, or having its own bureau center.
Yeah.
Briefly take us through it.
I don't know whether I want to do that because the competition may go and do it. But I can tell you in brief terms, we need a new African voice.
Mm-hmm.
That voice is going to be a multi-bureau voice. So it's not going to be an export from Lesotho or Botswana or South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a Pan-Africanist project.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
All right.
The rest of the people will know it when it happens.
When it happens.
I'm not going to tell them the details of my business plan.
We can also sell you some of the content that we produce since you guys have money.
No, not that we have money, but we can look at what you're producing and talk about partnership.
Yeah. All right. No, JJ, thank you so much. We hope to having more conversations with you on the 20th Avenue podcast.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir.
I'ma take y'all through shit.